share a few. Did I say hello, everybody? Yeah, I hope so. Well, hello if I didn't. Hello. Yeah, I did that. Okay, let's share a few Indiegogo campaigns. I don't know. I think Ethan and is thinking about spreading out. And I don't know. No, I'm not trying to spread any rumors or anything like that. But I heard him talking about. I know Billy Tucci has a campaign over there, and I'm thinking that Comicsgate might be trying to spread out over. Even though I don't know if they would, because they still got gatekeepers over there. But I heard him talking about Indiegogo. I mean Kickstarter, and Kickstarter is like it's like the the forbidden, you know, thou that shall not be mentioned. Yeah, so I just wanted to go over a couple of campaigns. Oh, this is closed out. I forgot. He's closed that out. He doesn't mess around. He comes in, grabs his people, grabs his customers, and he's out. I think he only did a 30-day campaign too, if I'm not mistaken. I think. I don't know. I hope I'm not talking out of school. But anyway, you got hold on, we did the Shane Davis and Trent Kanuga, uh Snowman, Graveyard Shift 3, Graham Nolan, Wrath of Faith of God, yeah, we did that. Fatal is out, still out. Is that still in command? In demand. Yes, still in demand. And it's close to cracking that uh six figures young lady. Yeah, it's close to cracking that six figures young lady. So I know I'm not I don't have much of a following, but or anything like that. But yeah, if anyone would like to help contribute and get them over that six figures young lady, yeah, let's do that, because look at Charlie Snowden's got talent like a mother. You see, he doesn't play. Yeah. So yeah, the book looks spectacular. Story sounds interesting. You got beautiful characters. So I don't see why anyone wouldn't back this. Yeah, so back Fatal. All right. And if you want to ever look up the latest in Comicsgate Comics, go to CG Tracker. CG Tracker. Number one Comicsgate. No one place to go for Comicsgate comics books. All of the latest stuff. From Ultra Star to Downcast, Dragon Guard, Peregrine, Camel Moon. We all got you got them all here. Charlie's London, Ninja Scroll. I mean, Rock and Roll Ninja. I got Ninja Scroll on my brain. I'm thinking about watching it. So yeah. All right, let's get back to the topic at hand. We're talking about we're talking about schools today. Now we've talked about um, a few topics. We talked about now. First, let me catch y'all up that this is what my belief in the Matrix. The Matrix is now, so just so that you don't think I'm crazy and that I'm trying to say that we're living in a computer generated world. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the world around us is made up. Everything. If you go back to the beginning of my Matrix talking, I'm talking about my shows. I've been talking about words. This is all made up because this is probably the first thing that you experience in life is being taught, is being able to talk, learning how to talk. And that's a manipulation because we never needed words. People originally started communicating through emotions, but as we started making things and developing a broader pool of possessions, we had to start saying things. We couldn't just we didn't need to point at we didn't need to say tree, rock, water. It's basically pointing and people knew what you was talking about. But as you start getting spears, knives, clothes, shoes, huts, and some place to live, carcasses, all types of things that you can, fishing hooks, all kinds of things that you start making in order to survive, then you need to start saying more than just So people started making up words. We still do it to this day. The internet came along, there's a whole slew of new words. Rap came along, there's a whole slew of new words. Everything that comes along. Back in the 1800s, before there was railroads, or not the 1800s, but before the railroads, revolution, the um, mechanical, what is it, um, the revolution to create shit, making steel and industrial. The industrial revolution came along. People didn't have trains and all of that. You had to get around by horseback. So all of those things, no airplanes. So that all of your dialogue, if you the further back you go back, and this is how I come to this conclusion. The further back you go, you see the less things people had. So that means the less of everything you knew about. So at some point, you was a primitive being walking around naked until we discovered fire and learned how to warm ourselves, and we started making clothing and all of these things. We lose the hair on our backs. And even to this point now, we are not the same types of creatures, but we are in other ways, because we're still those primitive creatures, but we think we're intelligent just because we can make certain shit. So, and this is what I'm talking about. The Matrix is actually the world, what we consider the real world, but it's all of these fake things. Money, it's fake. The whole idea of it is just that. It's a thought, something that we made up to time, something that we made up just to help just create a system of control. It is because back in the days we didn't need that. We just went out and hunted for what we needed or traded. If we had fish and another village had something else that we needed, we traded for it. But then we discovered, and gold wasn't even something back in the ancient Egyptian times. It was just ornamental. They put it on everything. They capped the pyramids with it. So gold, the whole idea that it has worth, it's just a piece of metal. Diamonds are just rocks. That's it. And money is just wood pulp. That's it. So these systems of control, these things that make you think a certain way and build your mentality, is basically the same thing that the Matrix was. So we create our own matrix. We create this system of control, and for this purpose.
Control.
All right.
Control. The Matrix built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
That's right. I believe that because that's all it is. You can see that a lot more nowadays with the COVID and all of this crap that's been going on, and how they just be printing money out of nowhere, trillions of dollars, spending left and right. None of this coming really to us, and they just keep going. They start making all these laws and restricting you more and more. Now it's the vaccines and everything, and it's just another system that says, hey, you have to listen to us. um Religion, I did that last in the last show, I believe. And all of these things and I grew up 12 years in the Catholic Church. All of these things are the things that you first come into the world and have your parents begin teaching you, and then they send you to school, and the schools, that's what today's about, schools. um to look at it this way: there's not enough jobs. If everybody could just be said, here's an education you want, and you're guaranteed to have that job of your dreams, right? How many people would flood to be doctors, lawyers, entertainers, all of these things? School system is the beginning of that weed out system, and it labels you from the jump. You got that. You have the grading system, and then you have all of these extra things that you have to learn that's not necessary for your life. But these things are, again, a way of learning who you're going to be as an individual. If you're going to be working for other people and you're willing to do all of this work and then do well in learning all of these things, even if they might not be helpful to you in life, that makes you a highly qualified person as far as in the industry of work. They want somebody who's going to be well indoctrinated. When they tell you to jump, you jump. You're going to do what you're told, and you're going to try your best to do it well. So, isn't that a form of slavery? Isn't that what uh, uh, instead of the whip, that they using grades, because they tell you grades follow you the rest of your life, and if you want to be a ditch digger, so, and they train that into your brain. But how many people have not gone to school or gone to college and become multimillionaires? The dude who owned Virgin Records and Virgin Airlines, I believe he never, that what's his name, William Branson or something like that. I don't believe he ever went to school or higher education, but he's a billionaire. So these are things that I believe that people just have been. Now, do we need school? Of course, but I believe that we should be taught the important things. up to high school, get through the high school education, the mathematics, and not, and you don't need trigonometry and all of that stuff, because unless you intend to become like an engineer or something like that, something that takes those types of courses. But um you don't need in trigonometry to do accounting. You just need to know how to really add numbers well and push one here to know those columns and all of that stuff. So there are plenty of jobs that you can do with just a well apprenticeship, all types, from construction to operating heavy machinery, driving and operating trucks and different types of vehicles, the jobs that pay well and all of that that you need these tests for. That's what school is, to introduce you to all of that way of thinking, that the rest of your life, in order to get these higher paying jobs, that you will have to be able to pass these things, even though there are plenty brilliant people in the world, like I said, who have these minds, who have created things, who have invented things, who that have made them multimillionaires, and they haven't had any education. Some of them couldn't even read, but they did things, because society dictates that we have to do these things and starts restricting us, and we become willing slaves. And that's what I'm talking about the Matrix. People just like in the movie, like what was the dude, um Cypher, the one who betrayed Morpheus and Neo. He wanted to get back into the Matrix because he so it was indoctrinated that he couldn't live without the comforts, the creature comforts. And that's exactly what's up with human beings today. We have become so indoctrinated that we don't even want to believe anything else, to where we are coming up with our own ideas of life, even though life in itself is brutal. It's always been that way. Nobody, the it's dog eat dog. That's what life is. So the school system takes you from a little child, and put you in, and you begin from then on to, because people learn from little children, and it also gives a parent opportunity to work without having to do. But when I was a child, sometimes parents would stay home. Certain parents, but I wasn't. Um, both of my parents worked, so, but we stayed over at after we came from school, we had to go over to someone who take care of us, and my parents had to pay us. So, but yeah, the school system from, and this is some of the more, what how should I put it? A lot of things maybe at first in schools, but today a lot of things were, especially when I was a kid, a lot of things in school I would say was necessary. They was teaching you art and all of this and creative things, all kinds of different ways and venues that uh, a person might go. So they start you off with these things in school. So I understand these in the younger classes, and like I said, these younger schools, I went to 12 years. I'm counting like kindergarten and Head Start and all of that. So I went to kindergarten, Head Start, and then came and went to regular school. And I believe I had to do fourth grade twice, because if I didn't have to do fourth grade twice, they basically, when I no, I didn't think I had to. But when I went from fourth grade, I moved and I went and I changed schools. So that's why I was thinking. I remember having to do the same work over again, but that's when I went from uh, Catholic school to regular public high school. They was basically teaching ninth grade the same things we had already learned in eighth grade. So I got there's nothing they said they could do about it, so that's what I did. That's what we had to do, so that was it. Um, I think they could have skipped this, but I don't know if my parents was up for that. They just said let them learn it, whatever. So anyway, it was uh, schools, and then you might from. So when I was in school, we had the nuns who would rap us on the back of the hand when we do bad things, and there's a lot of things to that. I still agree with those old corporal punishment days because there's one thing and another thing. When we was kids, we handled our own so-called bullies, and those who didn't, they would have became the weak ones. I see a lot of people today. Well, I'm not going to get into that. Let's stay on the topic. Stay on topic of schools, but people get picked on in schools. That's why I guess I came up, and I had my share. So, but like I said, my parents taught me differently. We was taught to stand up for ourselves when people push their limits, and you were supposed to push theirs with a greater amount of aggression if that became necessary. So yeah, and once I handled my situations that you know, I didn't worry about that stuff. There was no more anxieties, and I didn't have to worry about stuff, and I was never that kid again. So people need to, instead of teaching them all of these things that's unnecessary just to help weed children out as they grow older, because they know when you get older you're not going to be, there's not enough jobs and positions for you all to be able to share. There's millions of people all learning things and wanting the same types of jobs, so they know that you're not going to be able to get that. Not only that, you got to also consider this: capitalism needs people to do grunt work, right? There's all these bottom jobs that nobody really wants to do, like serving food and sweeping floors and digging ditches and all of these things that certain jobs, well, certain uh, ditch digging jobs are more well paying than others, but so um yeah, but in order for a society, especially a capitalistic society, to survive and work as long as this one has, you first need to understand or believe in it, right? Then you need people to do that grunt work. So schools is that first means of knocking people, categorizing all of you dudes or and girls who didn't want to really go to school and didn't uh well, I was one of them. So didn't really want to be in school, and I wanted to draw. I and my but my parents took my father told me that commercial artists don't make money. He wanted me to be a lawyer or a doctor, and that's more school than I ever wanted. I couldn't even take the amount of school that I got. So I hated school. I hated being in there. There was a few classes I liked. Liked math. I did well in math, and I did well in science because that's more. I guess I guess I'm a little academic when I like it, but just studying to remember things, and that's why I think other courses that you're giving is just to see how you will hold up under the pressure of doing a lot of unnecessary work just to please your bosses, and not only that, to weed you out. Those grades, the grading system categorizes you. You won't get into the elite if you are not pushing all A's or high A's types of situation, high grade system, and then you will get into those elite schools like Harvard, and then from them you'll get into the elite jobs that pay those elite salaries. So all of it is a way of weeding you out, and the school systems is the beginning of it. Then all of those tests that you take to go into the places like sanitation, like what tests do you need in order to drive a truck and pick up garbage? Come on, what tests do you need to be a police officer? They teach you everything, right? So what tests do you need? Only test you need is your mental acuity and your emotional stability, so that you're not out there banging and blanging people, and your physical, because I believe anybody who's going to do a job like that should be physically fit and be able to protect themselves physically without using some weapon. That should be the last resort, but that's something else. We can get to that law enforcement, because that all of that is part of the. We're gonna go through all of these categories of their systems of control, just like in the movie. What's her name? The architect. That's all he talked about. Their systems of control. The You gotta forgive me, folks. I was just smoking some weed before before the show. So we yeah, the Oracle, what was her name? Was it what she called the Oracle? And she talked about the systems control that were for the birds. There was a program created to watch over the birds, watch over the trees, watch over this, that, and the next. And those who didn't do their jobs was the ones who became the bad guys and all of that. And I've written a story, something like that. I've written a story. It has not like that, but it has something to do with the computers and people living in them and all of that. So check out my channel, Goddamn Comics. That's the other channel that I do all my art, my drawing, and I'm going to be putting up cartoons and all of that stuff. Cartoon reviews like Johnny Quest and um, Stundar the Barbarian, and I'm going to be bringing in some more. I'm going to be moving back to movies and stuff like that on this channel, and old TV shows. So, and I'm going to keep this show too, and we're still going to do Power Matrix too. But anyway, so schools are the first thing that starts training you on accepting your lot in life. And if you are one of these bottom ones who getting failing grades, guess what? You're gonna be digging these ditches and serving, working in McDonald's and yes, a massa to all of these corporate bigwigs, and yes, a massa to all of these people who work there, who are and that has to do with some of my other videos that I do. But yes, a massa to all of the 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 people you have to answer to, because the 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 lower down in the grades and the least skill sets that you have, the more likely you're going to be yes and mastering somebody, and a lot of them. So, and back to the matrix doctrine in schools, this is the place that starts you out, indoctrinates you, starts teaching you things that are a lot of fake, indoctrinating you to the fake world around you, because we don't need money to live in the world exactly how it is today. We can have the world exactly how it is today and still live without, but there will be no money. So that means there will be no powerful people above you, nobody giving you and you will have to make the decision, just like we supposedly made the societal contract, right? The same contract can be redone. And people say, no, it can't be done because this, that, and no. We have people already doing the jobs. We just stop doing the job. We just keep doing the jobs and stop be willing to accept money over freedom. Speaking of which, speaking of which, doo, doo, doo.
I don't know why we leaving Mouse's house. He been good to us. He feed us on Saturday, close us on Sunday, and then beat us on Monday. Or was it Tuesday? I don't know.
Jasper, I just want to go. I was a house nigga, Jasper.
What?
Jasper, don't you want freedom? We going to promised land. The promised land.
Promised Land? Cleveland?
No, Jasper.
Baltimore?
No, Jasper, the promised land.
Oh, the Promised Land. Minnesota?
See, now they teach you about finances in school, economics. These are all systems that begin to focus you from just having that carefree, haphazard life that you had as a little child before you had to start going to school. You were just running around playing with toys, enjoying your family. That's the life that every other animal on the earth has. Every other animal on the earth has that same exact existence. It's only humans who imprison themselves with these systems in order to have one person indoctrinated or enslaved to others. But if we work together in more of a tribal, imagine we could bring back industries to every different city. Different cities do have different industries, and we share between them. If we need to make parts in this city and then send it to that city in order to build a car, then we do it in order to put together clothing. And how much of that could be automated? So how many of us would actually have to work if we automated? We got off of fossil fuels and we did things like making the new internet so that foreign we had to decentralize the internet so that foreign governments couldn't just jump in and mess with us, and then we have to build a system of how we start working, what jobs need to be done, and who's going to apply for those jobs. Of course we'd have a tier system, but as we get older everybody would be able to do any job that they want to. You'd be able to change jobs every 2 or 3 years if you wanted to, something like that, until you finally retired at about 40 or so, like that, 40 or 50, to make room for other people to come in. Then you can do any job that you want until you finish, don't want to work no more, and you can retire. But there would be no money, so nobody would be able to kick you out of your home. Your home is yours. You never have to pay taxes because we're doing all of the jobs that pay the taxes. If you see a pothole, you go to the place where they got the asphalt and the rolling pin, the big steel. What I forget what they call it, big rolling motherfuckers, the steamrollers, and have them come through. You throw some asphalt in the hole and you pave the road. These are just jobs that everybody can do. You have garbage trucks in a place, and you work and you clear out a couple of neighborhoods. You send the truck to someplace else so that it could uh, take out a few other neighborhoods. We don't need the school system. Yeah, we need the school system to teach us things, but not to indoctrinate us. We need to wake up as people. We don't need these things. We could have TVs. The only people that wouldn't get would be those who don't want to work. Of course, there's always going to be those kinds who just want to be lazy and feed off of the backs of other people. So they don't get shit. They won't you can't starve them out, and you can't kick them into the street, but they don't get none of the luxuries, no PlayStations and no fancy clothes. They got to wear clothes that other people throw away and don't want, put it into the welfare. And then another thing, there wouldn't be no immigration. You could come here, but you wouldn't be a citizen. Your family would have to put in to the system just like every other people's family. You can stay here and work under the regular capitalistic type of system. If there's any jobs available, Americans would get all of the jobs first, all citizens, right? And you still keep a school system to teach you, but you would learn things like nursing and doctoring to a certain degree. So when you graduate, imagine how many people on your block would be doctors or nurses, and you could help each other instead of worrying about costs right in people's homes unless they needed operations. Then you could use hospitals. So we'd be able to help each other on many levels. We'd be able to get rid of cars. We wouldn't need as many cars. We would just need trucking to move things around. And then we'd sell stuff to other countries. But we not to us, because we would be just bringing back industries. We'd be able to do our own animation instead of sending overseas because it's too expensive here. No, we have labor. We could do it. There's plenty of people who want to do animation and jobs like that, but because of money and people who are rich, who don't do a real job, they just move fake money around and then they're your bosses. So nobody would be a boss. The only person you would need in charge is the president who would run the military. But everybody else in government would just basically be pencil pushers or accountants. They account to make sure everything in the districts are getting from here to there and then to overseas or distributed to neighborhoods so that the people can get. We bring farms closer to the city so that we can work our own food instead of running our prices up every time anything happens. Something gets run up, prices get run up. This fake garbage. Food is still the same food it is when it comes out. If we get access to it and we're able to make our own foods, then all of these other jobs are not really that necessary. We're doing it just so that we could travel and go to other countries, because what we would do is sell our products that we make to other countries, and that money we would make, we would use that as a dowry so that when we go in over, and we would make a deal, because other countries who would get our products, we say, okay, you get it at a discount. So if you buy our stuff instead of from other countries, we give you a slight discount or a certain amount of discount. And then we'll give you another bump underneath that for letting our people come through and visit and chill out and do shopping. You even get like an American Express America card, and we would be able to go and do shopping and all of that, and they would have to just eat the cost because it would all be in the trade agreements. And this is how we can live. We won't need no government. We would govern ourselves. We wouldn't even want to steal from each other because everybody was getting. Of course, there wouldn't be no more rich folks and all of that stuff, but everybody would be more even. But everybody would live in a suite like the Waldorf, because we could build what we want. Imagine they talk about the cost of curing this and curing that. Imagine if there's no money and there's just people doing the job. How many things could be cured? Even though I don't believe in that stuff, people need to go because we're just overpopulating the world. That's another show. We're gonna. I'm not gonna. That's another show I plan on doing maybe this week because I've been holding off on that for a while. So yeah, schools are the worst things. And then when you get into colleges, you get into the bigger institutes, that's where they even start, especially these days, they start brainwashing you to even more stuff and indoctrinating you into more stuff and giving you even more difficult things to learn and put in your back pocket that you might not use for the rest of your life because you really only focus on one thing that you want to focus on as a career, and you might have some backups, but there's still all of those socio this and economics that and psychology this. But even though they use all Remember this, all of these major jobs use some kind of psychology. Police, lawyering, doctoring, they're not supposed to show any emotions when dealing with it. That's psychology, so that they should show a level of control and superiority to the people that they're going to be cutting open. This is what how the world works. And manipulations. It's from all the way down the line, and all behind different systems from the lies that your parents didn't realize that they was teaching you because they were taught by their parents. So it was like a catch 22. You want freedom, but you're indoctrinating yourselves and your children into this perpetual sharecropping, which is slavery. And that's what the matrix is all about. In order to make pacify the people into being these slaves to the machines, they fed them this fantasy world. And the fantasy promises them this life that they felt needed to be harsh because they couldn't survive a paradise. And to believe it or not, we had a paradise, but we was too chicken shit to live amongst the other animals. So we decided to kill everything else off so that we could feel safer. And now that we feel safe, you got all of these people inventing shit. And I'm talking about mentally, physically, all kinds of dumb shit to say we need this because we're this type of that and this type of no. You're just an animal just like everybody else. You name one thing that mankind has created that's not responsible for killing shit. That's everything. To the plastic that you might whatever you might, if it uses plastics or anything like that. And if you've seen my last show, I talked about forever chemicals. So that lasts forever, and it's in almost everything. So everything that we create, there has some kind of waste, something that we throw away. That's everything. It has some kind of waste that we don't care where we throw it. So look at Bear Grylls, The Island, and I usually talk about that about for the reason of they have two separate sets of people, women on one island and men on the other, and how the women was failing drastically to be able to protect themselves or survive for themselves without the producers coming in to help them like 3 to 4 times in order for them to make it through the end to the end of the season. So anyway, um, the reason why I bring that up is because on these deserted islands, there was all types of plastic, this garbage, that, just all littering the beaches all over there, and nobody lives there. This is what humans are. We're no brilliant. We stumbled over to all the shit that we act just like every other animal. We act out emotionally. All other animals act out emotionally. But that's more honest, because if they're angry at you, they're gonna show you their anger. If they're upset with you in any way, if they're happy with you, they're gonna be wagging and running up on you and all of this stuff. They're gonna show you their happiness. If they're sad, they're gonna show you that they're sad. If they're scared, they're gonna show you that they're scared. Humans, we lie and hide behind words. We hide behind our religion. We hide behind our politics. We hide behind our gender. And all of these things are being taught to you in these schools, in these institutions of higher learning, where they teach you mask mandating and gender bending and all of these things. how being overweight is good for you, even though COVID is coming for your ass first. COVID 90% of people who are suffering from the and my last show I put this up. 90% of the people who are suffering the most fatal uh outcomes of COVID, results of COVID, are obese people. So higher learning, this is where they really prepare you for your next, because they know you coming from here directly into the work market. But there's also a lot of foolery, because they're teaching you a lot of shit that you can't use in real life. So a lot of people spend thousands upon thousands of dollars in these places, and then you come out of here in debt. And then where do you wind up working? Welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order? Because you got a bullshit diploma, but you still got all of that debt that you can't even die and get rid of it. I'm telling you. So these are the things that I'm talking about. That Why do we put ourselves through this when school should be free? You should be able to get all of the learning that you want or not. If you think that you want to be a doctor, stay in school. We wouldn't need lawyers in that world, because nobody would be suing each other. If you get injured for whatever reason, just go to the hospital, because you'd have all of the doctors you need, because people could be whoever they want. We be and do whatever we want. Imagine, and we'd be able to come together, and especially in a world like today where the internet brings together talent like Comicsgate, and we can just come together and do what we want. Imagine then, in a world like that, how many people could just come together and make the types of movies that we want. And if it's something that turns out to be really great, of course, then you would be acknowledged for your contribution and the time and effort that you put into it. That's how you would be. Uh, we would use our phones for stuff like reporting in for work. When we start our job, no matter how long it is, we clock in, and we would be honest about it, because we're trying to do the right thing for a society, a peaceful, a really peace-based society. Because today, in today's world, it's been designed from the beginning to war with itself. That's why you got Republicans and Democrats, because it's designed for not only the government to war against itself, but the people also. So what if we just get rid of all of these made up thoughts, like government and Republican and Democrat? All of these are made up words, made up thoughts, processes. The real thing is just trying to live without subjecting each other to another person who's no better than you. And that's what a lot of us have stress over. We have to subject ourselves to other people who are no better than us, but they are claimed to because society says so, because we made up this fake world with fake money. We believe in fake ideals and fake living conditions, when we can have it all of us. All of us can have it. You don't have to take anything away from the rich. Let them have their mansions. They're going to die at some point, and they just won't be able to pass it down. Then it'll become bed and breakfasts, so that we could travel around. We still have hotels, still have people working in hotels, changing bed linen. So you can still travel the country. We can still do these things, but it'll be our choices. Those jobs, those bottom shelf jobs, will be the people just coming out of high school. All of those bottom minimum wage jobs that people have looking for tips and nobody really wants to do, that's the jobs that people coming right out of high school would do. And then as you grow older and you get your seniority, you go online, you apply, and as you will be recognized, and everybody will have to get it. And that's what your city government would be do. They make sure that everybody is getting what they got coming to them. We will bring industries and we will try to clean them up and bring them into these. We will make clothes. We will make everything we need to do. Try not to use plastics. Whatever we have to do, or we do it, we have to find a way of making it cleaner so that we're not spilling off all kinds of waste. Or just learn how to do without certain things. Whatever. We wouldn't need to, because there wouldn't be this push to sell, sell, sell. We just get the things that we need and make them last. Make it last forever. 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 Make it last forever. Don't let our love in. So yeah, we got to start doing things, thinking better, and we did that as a collective. Just say no. We don't want to work for money anymore. We want to work for freedom. We don't want to answer to the government. We don't want to answer to bosses. We don't want to answer to time. Then we'll be able to do our jobs whenever we want to. The factories will stay open whenever, and then people who want to go in and work at night can go work at night. People who want to work in the day can go work in the day. Bring them into the near the neighborhood so that we could just walk. That's what I'm talking about. We get healthier. We do the jobs. Some of them will be automated jobs, and then we just need people to supervise. The most jobs that you have to have hands on would be construction and in keeping the infrastructure up. But we don't need the school system in the way that it is built now. You could go to school, learn your stuff throughout through to high school, just so that you're not wasting time running around doing idiot stuff for no reason, because people are, even though you will have more freedom to do those idiot things, because you won't need all of these extra courses like economics and humanities and all of these idiot things that's not helping you. People existed. Look in the cowboy days. One person in a town, one person had the badge. Nobody was bum rushing the sheriff to kill him. I'm not saying that didn't happen, but that happens now. So, uh, but the police are here to police the citizens, not the wealthy, not the government, not the government, the citizens. They're to make sure that you pay attention to society's rules. It's not to protect and serve. That's why that's going to be another system of control. I'm just getting through the early ones that basically are the first things that we experience once we are born, and then we come into our own, growing up and coming into our own. So that's why I did religion and words and school and stuff like that. But everything that you taught, everything is made up, especially if it's thought, only thought. Like cars. Cars are real because we made it. It's something physical. And the word car, okay. But everything else that's just a thought, an idea, no. That's all some fantasy that people have told you to make you think that humans are special and we have a higher purpose. No, our purpose is to survive, eat, procreate, get shelter, and survive. That's what ours. All this other stuff is just the benefit people who are the people who set this system up so that we can make slaves of ourselves. That's it. And we fell for it. We fell for the okey doke. We drinking that Kool-Aid like a motherfucker. So that's that for schools. So I usually switch to do hour on the topic. Then I'm gonna peddle a couple of more comic books, and we're gonna talk about how Might is coming to your Indiegogo near you. And then when we get back to it, we're gonna go back to outer space, because space is something that I've always loved. And that's another system too, because uh, even though I love that type of stuff, I love that type of stuff, I love outer space shit, I've come to realize that a lot of it is bullshit. It's all made up. It's just a story that people tell. And if you've seen some of my other Matrix doctrines, I've I've been on I've reviewed Joe Rogan's shows and listened to some of these. Matter of fact, I could do that too. We're gonna do that next week. We're gonna go back to doing that, because there's a couple more dudes I'd ever done. That Tyson dude, and there's this British dude that I wanted to finish doing. So yeah, and just listen to how they talk. These astrophysicists, listen to how they talk, and you can tell they're lying. They'll tell you, we know something, but we don't know. What we don't know about this. We don't know about uh particles, but what we know is we don't know about outer space. We don't know anything about black holes, but what we know is, and that's how you know they full of shit, because then they'll go on and tell you all of this shit that they know about black holes, but they don't know shit. It's all theoretical. It's all theoretical shit that they pull out of their ass. So yeah, when we come back, that's what we're gonna do. But for now, let's remind you that Might, the graphic novel, is coming. We are coming. I'm trying to get everything ready. It's just a lot of work for one person. I tiresome. It's wearying. It's draining to go from not drawing to drawing so much and trying to create all of these things because you want to put out this campaign and get in there with everybody else rowing, and I want to put up numbers, but I know that nobody knows me, so that it's going to be some take me some time to get my people to follow and want to. But if you listen to the stories, I believe there's going to be a lot of people who going to want this book, because I've already heard people say, "Yo, I'm interested. I can't wait." And you don't really hear that for first time people. I haven't really showed a lot. They've just seen my characters and or my rough drafts and seen some of the work that I've done and I've shown, and they I guess they have confidence and heard some of the story that I've told about Might, and so they want to get down, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. So we're gonna go to CG Tracker, and we're gonna check out some comic books, a couple of comic books, one or two, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna watch a video and um break down some blah, 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 some scientific stuff, some astrophysics, and try to prove it wrong. Even though I love this stuff, remember I'm an artist, so I use a lot of this stuff in my comics and my creating my characters and abilities. But I'm gonna try to debunk, just try to get you to see where they are lying, and they're possibly they're not telling the truth, because there's no way that they can know these things just from observing things here in in our part of the solar system. You can't tell me that they know what's happening out in interstellar space or intergalactic space, and that's what they do all the time. Yeah, so yeah, let's check Battle Big Road. I think the Chinook closed out. Let me see. Yeah, it closed out. So we go back. Yeah. See you, Graham. Graham Nolan already got another one out. We checked the Alien Alamo. So we checked that the other day. So we're gonna go down the list and then come back up. And then so the Chinook is done. Battle Brick Road, I think, is still in demand. Yes. Back at Eric Weathers, Battle Brick Road. This is a story about what if uh the Wizard of Oz was a different type of story. And so that's what this is. Scarecrow, and there's Dorothy. This is Dorothy, and I do believe Eric said that this was Toto. So yeah, check out Eric Weathers, the uh, Battle Brick Road. Follow the 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 Battle Brick, follow the Battle Brick, follow the Battle Brick Road. Boom, 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 boom. We're off to see the blizzard, the wonderful blizzard of Oz. This is really good stuff. See, I want a little bit more black in mine, but this is good stuff. He got a decent amount. He just, I draw a little differently, so I can't really equate my stuff to his. I'm not saying that I'm better or worse or anything like that, because once you get good, I don't believe anyone's better or worse, because it's the eye of the beholder, the customer, who's gonna determine the quality of your art. You can't really say. All you can do is do your best. So I would never say that my art is better than another artist who's put in out work. It's just I believe that I can sit in the same room. That's all I'm saying. I can sit in the same room with a lot of artists, and I'm hoping to do that. Get past my little hangups of not, never being able to sell, and never selling, and really taking my first dive into this realm. I've done some of this types of stuff before, but I never put out a book because I just in my neighborhood, I've just never had anything that get me to think in that way and to want to do something like that and take that type of steps. And like I said, my pop said artists don't make money like that. So um, all I wanted to do was draw. I didn't know if I wanted to draw comic books, but I had started developing my own comics, and I started doing the panels and started to. I started drawing a story for the dude in the red that I just showed you. I started doing a story for him where uh, Professor X, he was going to Professor X to help Mega, his father or his creator was going to Professor X to ask for help, to help him save Mega's life. But back then I was calling him the Mega Mutant because I wanted to get into Marvel. So I was drawing up a story with my character in it to take the Marvel using the X-Men and as my backdrop and introducing my character while showing them that I could draw Marvel characters and all of that good shit. So he's going and he's saying how he needs help to save his son's life or his because he's come to love the experiment gone sideways kind of. And I'm not going to tell you why he needed to save his life or what for, because that's part of his storyline. And even though I changed it from then to now, it's still part of it. If I tell you, it's gonna still be a main part of his storyline. So anyway, he's gone to the father's gone to Professor X, and we see the parts that I was drawing and writing. Scott is missing. Cyclops is missing, and Jean is in with Professor X, and she's pleading we have to find Scott. There's something. And Professor X is telling them we got to move smart. We don't know what happened. This, that, and the next. And Wolverine was like, "Fuck the Boy Scout, fuck the Boy Scout. He's always wanting to. He's always the big tough guy. He knows everything. Let him handle that shit himself." And Gene is mad at him. This is the story that Gene looks at him all mad and pissed off and shit. And I gotta scan that shit into the computer so that y'all can see that. But she's pissed at him, and she's looking at him all sideways and telling him he better watch his mouth before she turned loose on him. And that's basically where what I got up to. I was the part that's somewhere around there is where the man or the doctor or whoever he is going to show up and ask for help and for help and offer the assistance of his son or the experiment going sideways, who became this biosynthetic humanoid that super powerful being. And yeah, so that was that. But basically what was going to happen was they was going to try to figure out what happened. And all of the Gene, maybe Professor X, but especially Gene and Wolverine and Mega were gonna go, or the Mega Mutant was gonna go, because at that point that was who I was calling them, was gonna go and help save Scott from whatever predicament he was in. And it was gonna be a nice one hitter quit. Well, it could have been an extended story, but at that point, I was just drawing it to get through the story. I didn't have plans on how long it was going to be. I was just trying to get through that little story that I had come up with. So, okay, so yeah, back Battle Brick Road. The art is good. The story sounds good. The story, just from what I'm seeing here, looks good. You know, these guys These robotic dudes chasing people who don't belong in that world. Because one of the animes that I like, that I based my Stone God story on, was the Legend of Crystania, and that was like that. They have this giant god wall that separates one civilization from the people of the gods on the other side. So one day, the god is speaking to this kid whose parents just were killed. He's like the prince, and his parents just were killed, and he wants revenge, and he wants it so bad that this god hears his pleas and beckons him to come to Crystania. So he runs towards the god wall. The god wall splits open, and he goes through to Crystania, and the god is like, uh, everything starts going crazy. So it's kind of like that same deal. People who don't belong, and there was even people who came to hunt down those people. They call that the chaos, because they didn't belong in Christania. So they was chaos, and they was there. Certain people had to go. I'm going to do a review on that, because I did a review on Spriggan, and I just have to get my. I got all of these videos. Some of them are DVD, and some of them are Blu-ray. A lot of them are do your DVD, and some of them are Blu-ray. And the Blu-rays, I can't play on my computer, so I can't do it, little clips and stuff like that, the way I want to. And so I gotta get me one of those Blu-ray players that plugs into my computer, and one of those exterior drive type joints, and Blu-ray drives, and then I'll be able to do some better reviews and stuff. But yeah, um, this reminds me of that. It reminds me of that movie, that anime, Legend of Crystania. So yeah, Back Battle Brick Road, Eric Weathers at 86807, 1,561 backers. Man, I would love to have that many backers. Love to be able to achieve that. So, okay. One more. What time is it? Oh, shoot. Let's get back. We've been here too long. We've been here too long. My stories. I could tell you stories all day. I could get lost in storytelling. That's what I did yesterday. I was only supposed to be on for 2 hours showing some Frank Frazetta. I wound up being on for three and a half, almost 4 hours, talking about might and showing off character designs and all of that. This dude came into the chat and was asking questions, and I just got me going. So yeah, let's try to find this video. Let's go to the videotape. All right. We're gonna go to the video. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And the thing starts to flow. And the help of the diggity day. Oh, shut up, shutting up. Ain't nobody calling at this time of night from a toll-free number. That's got to be sales. I don't need to know. Okay, let me find. Here it is. Okay, I put the audio on. Turned on the audio. So here we go. Now, I told you, I love outer space. I love this stuff. So all of this stuff is stuff that I've recently heard, like in the last few years, because this is something that they recently found out for at the edge of the universe. Because Voyager had supposedly passed certain area of space, and things started happening, and they got back information. I would like to know what type of information that they got, really. stuff. So here we go.
Could give cause to rethink the general. But is the thesis of infinite space really unassailable? The discovery of the NASA space probe New Horizons and Voyager 2 could give cause to rethink the generally accepted picture of the never-ending universe.
Now hold on, the never-ending universe. These ships have been out in space since the 70s. Right? Now you got to remember, there's radiation out in space. Radiation. There's particles that travel through shit out in space and on the planet, because we get bombarded all the time too. They talk about neutrinos and all of these things that go right through the earth, right through you all the time. So they're out in the space. Now listen to all of what they're gonna be saying. We're gonna be keep stopping because we don't know how much when the YouTube Gore's YouTube rhythm. That means algorithm. His algorithms are gonna try to fuck up my show. But this is all part of my thing about being lied to by these people and them just making careers off of fantasies and made up shit.
But what exactly did the spacecraft discover in the gigantic expanses of space? Together with you,
you just what?
We would like to get to the bottom of this interesting topic. If you like our videos...
Oh, shut the fuck up. If you like them, you can subscribe. There's this right there. So you seeing, I ain't trying to rip off nobody. I'm just trying to prove that these dudes lie.
Be waiting for you in the future. Among astronomical experts. It is a kind of hydrogen wall, whose hypothetical experts
get this.
There is
try to find a beginner. Here we go.
In the most remote corner of our solar system, according to some experts, there is an extraordinary structure whose hypothetical existence raises great questions among astronomical experts.
I wish I would have found this video when I was doing my time video, my time because I did a time systems of control, and hold on, man. I did a time systems of control, and I'll be right on as soon as I finish my stream at 9 o'clock. I did a time systems of control, and I would have liked to use this to show how the distances around the sun are different, so that each planet has a longer year or a different year. That some of them might move faster, some of them might move slower, some of them rotate faster or slower. So that means that they also have different day span. A day could last like 30, 40 hours on one planet, and on Earth it lasts 24. Mercury and Venus, all the same thing. Mars, they all have different. So if that's how 365 days a year going around the sun, right? And then 24 hours rotation is where we get our days. 365 around the sun is where we get our years, and that's how we determine what time is. Then as soon as we leave the earth, time ceases to exist, right? Because it's different on every planet. So unless you have a universal or a solar system times gauge, and then a galactic time gauge, or a universal time gauge, you can't really say that time exists. It's just a made up something that we use, a made up system that we use so that we can keep control of the days as we know it, as the what we call time passing, because What if look at it, we there's no real day. Time doesn't really pass. There's no real day and night. It's just the sun is shining on the planet when the planet, the a certain part of the planet is exposed to the sun, and on the opposite side is going to be nighttime. So it's an illusion. It's an illusion. There's no real day. So you're really just experiencing one moment, right? It can be thought up as that way. There is no time. There's only one moment for for all for eternity, right? There's only one moment. We just having different experiences, and we document them, and we use time to document these experiences. But other than that, or events, we use time to document experiences or events, and that's it. So don't let's get back to the video. That's another show. I wish I had this video. I just found this today.
It is a kind of hydrogen wall, which lies at the edge of our home planetary system.
Now look at it. This is supposed to be our solar system in here.
Experts agree that this galactic wall could be the physical end of our ancestral solar system.
But this is right here doesn't make sense. That this could be the end of our. How does he know? If this is the end, see, first he's saying right here is there's a termination shock wall here between our solar system and this heliosphere. Now get me, this shit is gold. I could create characters and shit forever just off of this shit alone. So I love this shit, but I don't believe that they know what the fuck they talking about. So you're telling me this is Voyager and they just passed this helio sheath, right? From the inside to the outside. And the Voyager 2 has just crossed the termination shock, right? And then I've seen a show on what's it called? How the Universe Works. And they had a show called The Edge of the Universe. And that's the first time I've heard of this HELIOPAUSE. That's what they call it, the HELIOPAUSE. You see this up at the top? It says HELIOPAUSE. That's what he said. He didn't say anything about helio sheath. I think he might have mentioned the heliosphere. And he didn't say anything about a termination shock. But they were talking about how Voyager, once it got past this certain spot, it turns around so to send information back to Earth, and then turns back around to look out into space, right? So anyway, when it turned back to look back at the sun or towards Earth to send information, they happened to see this bubbling type of suds looking wall that surrounds the whole solar system, right? And they showed it. They had they actually had a representation of what this thing was, a digital representation where you could see the undulations of it. Looked like, you ever put bubbles together, blow out bubbles and put a whole bunch of them together, and they have this like they're like make geometric shapes with the as the circles come together and push up against each other. They kind of make these squared off or cornered off geometrical shapes. So that's what they showed, like a bubble. It looked like a bunch of bubbles pushed together, and they would show just like this. They showed the sun in the center and this big ball like suds around it didn't have the white foamy suds. It's just bubbles connected, but it looked like bubbles. connected to each other and it's surrounding everything. And they call that the heliopause, and that's the. But how do they know that there's not another wall and then another one? How do they know that? They're just talking out of heat, but he's saying that this is the edge of our uh, solar system. That this heliosphere and the heliopause and all that is part of it. Like this is sort of like the magnetic field around the Earth that protects us from the cosmic rays and all of that stuff like that. That this is what this is doing, but on a larger layer level. So just like there's this termination shock, and then the Earth has a planetary magnetic field, and then they claim that this heliosphere and the heliopause. How do they know that this yellow part here that they see that they're showing isn't another bubble, and that what if Voyager gets past that, that is going to show something else, if that at all? Because first of all, they're going to be talking about something in here. This is why I'm bringing it up now. But how do you know what Voyager has seen? And then second of all, remember this stuff has been out there in space for since the 70s. That's 50 years. That's 50 years, give or take. With all of this radiation, how do you know that there's not some kind of, say that they're right, say that just this termination shock, say that there's some kind of radiation field that's creating this separation between the termination shock and the heliosphere, and when Voyager passed through that, it wasn't damaged, and it's just showing them whatever they claim to be seeing, if they're seeing anything at all, right? What they claim to be seeing ain't just distortion of some kind, and they're just putting it out there. And this is being generous. This is assuming that they're seeing anything at all. That's right, I said it. So then there's all of this radiation coming from the sun, bombarding shit all the time. Then they pass through this field. It has to be some kind of an energy that's separating. Then they pass through another one, and then they're depicting more out here. And if we're traveling through interstellar space, what the fuck is out in interstellar space? Say this is interstellar space. What kind of radiation and shit exists out there? Right? Okay, I'm not going to say no more. I'm going to let the shit talk, and we'll speak on it once we get to it.
In detail, the area describes the region in which the emitted energy of our sun is no longer strong enough to penetrate the mass accumulated there.
So they're saying that the energy, once it gets past, it's trying to travel out as far as it can, but it can't reach out towards that heliopause area or that termination shock. That's basically where the sun's effects are. It's minimum at its minimal or smallest or whatever.
As we all know, the fixed star of our planetary system is considered a galactic energy source. The rays emitted by the sun penetrate a space of many million kilometers.
A galactic energy source. It's considered a galactic energy source. Now, remember this for when you start reading. Remember things like this when you start reading Mike, the graphic novel, because I use all of this stuff. I got a character that I call for now my Nebula character, and there's all kinds of energies all over the place. The heliosphere, termination shock, all of these things could be twisted to be used as superhero material, super villain, or cosmic being materials. So I love this shit because it gives me all kinds of ideas. But again, I have to tell the truth of what I feel about this stuff too.
Kilometers. At the same time, the sun supplies the planets and celestial bodies within its range with urgently needed energy. However, at some point, even the powerful rays of the sun reach a spatial point at which its powers dry up. From then on, the solar system is no longer able to penetrate or push back the resident matter in the corresponding areas.
See? So that's saying that this radiation and all types of things being emanating from heat, light, all of these are different types of radiations. So all of these things is fucking emanating throughout the solar system, pushing outwards. And to a certain degree, it can't push too much further. And these things, when I hear things like this makes me think of other things that make me say that the things that they say about all kinds of things, how light travels, all of these things, sound, like when they say, I'm going to do a whole thing about one of these I'm going to do on the Big Bang Theory, because the Big Bang Theory they talk about how they discovered the Big Bang Theory because of background noises. So I want to make sure that I have one of the video that speaks on that when I'm talking about it. So, okay, let's get back to this.
This creates a visible boundary that represents the end of our solar system.
Okay, now say this is our solar system. Then something in here is going to be the terminus, right? And then this is the heliopause, right? This edge, this white edge right here is the heliopause or the heliosphere, right? Let's just say that, given them that's right. What's this mist out here? It's just nothing. What's beyond that? Can it be seen? Is there something to be seen? How many more layers can there possibly be? We don't know. We don't understand truly the universe. We don't. And if it's true that they're discovering these things, this proves that everything that they're saying, they just have no clue. For them to say that this is the end of our known solar system, like they said,
Is the thesis of infinite space really unassailable? The discovery of the NASA space probe New Horizons and Voyager 2 could give cause to rethink the generally accepted picture of the never-ending universe. But what exactly did the spacecraft discover in the If you like our videos, please the edge of our solar system. In the most remote corner of our solar system, according to some experts, there is an extraordinary structure whose hypothetical existence raises great questions among astronomical.
Hypothetical. He's telling you it's hypothetical. It's a what if. Oops. I know he said something about
Corner of our solar system, according to some experts, raises great questions among astronomical experts. It is a kind of hydrogen wall, which lies at astronomical experts, whose hypothetical existence raises great.
Whose hypothetical existence. Hypothetical. That means that somebody came up with the idea. They talked about it with their constituents, other astrophysicists, and then they said, it's possible that you have a nice theory that we could run with, and they all agreed that it's a possibility and something that should be talked about as if it really does exist. And so now they're making shows about it and talking about it as if it does exist. And then it's going to become a factually based thing, just like everything else that comes from the astrophysical world.
Questions among astronomical experts. It is a kind of hydrogen wall, which lies at the edge of our home planetary system. Experts agree that this galactic wall could be the physical end of our ancestral
ancestral
solar system.
So again, why would they even stop to say, hey, this could be the possible end of it? What they should be saying is, if this is true, if this actually does exist, how many other layers are there to our solar system before they start talking about, hey, don't you, because they're going to start talking about this is actually interstellar space that Voyager has entered.
In detail, the area describes the region in which the emitted energy of
We don't need to say that.
the rays emitted by the sun penetrate a space. Powerful rays of the sun reach a spatial point at which its powers dry up. It's a visible boundary that represents the end of our solar system. On one side of this galactic boundary, the last traces of the solar wind can be observed. In the opposite area,
To be observed? Why would it be hypothetical if they could observe it? Why would it be hypothetical if they can observe it? Well, they're talking about the solar wind. But again, if they can observe something, why would it be called hypothetical? Because they can see the solar wind end there. So the wall itself is hypothetical. So how do they know the solar winds are ending and not just transmuting into changing into something else because it made contact with something, or who knows? Again, the reason why would you be making distinctions, definite shit? You're pointing to definite shit instead of saying, well, how many more layers could they be if this is true?
Interstellar matter, including hydrogen, is once again formed. The discoveries of the NASA space probes.
So are they saying that it's hydrogen? Did Discovery send back hydrogen samples?
The existence of such a galactic edge has been hotly debated in the scientific community for a long time. However, the technically limited means of the past did not allow to prove the scientific thesis of a solar system boundary in a comprehensible way.
The scientific thesis, that means people gotten together and they can't pull shit out of their ass and say, hey, we can't see anything, but what if there's an actual wall out there that separates us from interstellar space? And then they seek to prove this shit.
The NASA space,
or they seek to come up with a theory and a formula that they can say then lends credence to their bullshit thought processes.
Probe New Horizons passed the region around Pluto about 5 years ago. Because New Horizons penetrated so deeply into the foothills of our solar system, the hopes of the experts were nourished to finally reach the ominous boundary of our planetary system in the course of the mission. And indeed, the spacecraft succeeded in
I love this type of shit. Because even though I know all of this shit is some kind of like, we don't actually see colors and shit like that when they look out into space. I don't care what they say. They don't actually see all this type of beautiful colors. So all of this fantastic imagery that they show, I've always loved seeing that. Back with Nova on PBS channels, because that's where I used to get all of my stuff early in life. Nova on PBS, the same channel at nighttime that I would watch in the morning for Sesame Street. I'd watch at nighttime for Nova and shows like The Universe and stuff like that. So,
proving the existence of additional ultraviolet light in the most remote corners of our solar system. For the researchers,
at least I think Universe was on PBS.
This observation supported the thesis that a galactic wall of hydrogen could have formed in the immediate vicinity. Already the Voyager probes, which NASA sent into space in the immediate vicinity. This observation supported the thesis that a galactic wall of violet light in the most remote corners of our solar system. For the researchers, this observation of the mission.
I'm sorry.
And indeed, The spacecraft succeeded in proving the existence of additional ultraviolet light in the most remote corners of our solar system.
So because they've seen ultraviolet light, that means that there must be helium out there? How do they know? How do they know what ultraviolet light or what can create an extra ultraviolet light out in deep space or past a certain limit to where our sun, how do you know that's not what it's pushing up against, is that ultraviolet light? The things that they're saying, this is why I say they're quick to make a judgment statement and knocking down that this is what it is, instead of saying this is possibly what it is. See, they get paid for the discoveries that they claim to make. So they have every reason to nail it down and say this is exactly what it is, this is that, and the next, instead of saying we just made some shit up and we hope that we get paid because we made it. It sounds really good. It's a good story to tell the people.
For the researchers, this observation supported the thesis that a galactic wall of hydrogen could have formed in the immediate vicinity. Already the Voyager probes, which NASA sent into...
So they're trying to tell me they understand how hydrogen and ultraviolet light works in outer space, especially deep space past Pluto. That's what they're trying to tell me? That even though nobody has ever been out to deep space past Pluto to do any types of experiments, they're saying that due to the experiments they do on Earth under gravity conditions, under all types of conditions with air and oxygen, I don't care if they put it in a chamber where they can remove all of these things or most of these things, there's no way you can tell me that they could reproduce the same conditions in outer space with all kinds of particles running around and doing all types of shit. Because we know for a fact that the Earth has an electromagnetic shield that helps keep the bombardment of different types of rays and particles from the sun from getting in and just absolutely extinguishing life on Earth as we know it. So this is what I'm saying. They say things and keep saying things and people just fall for it. I fell for it. But I started asking myself, hold on, they're saying things, but in the last show, they said something, and these two things just don't line up to me. You know, they talked about hearing sound from this background sound from the Big Bang Theory, and then they talk about how the corona of the sun is so loud that if we was anywhere near it, it would deafen us probably till our brains turn to mush. It's super loud. So how could you hear background noise over the sun's corona making all of this loud ass noise? And how do you know that that's not what it was? And you're not telling us that just so that you could come up with your dumbass theory, because this dumbass theory came out back in the 60s or 40s or 50s or some shit with this whole Big Bang Theory.
Space at the end of the 1970s provided...
I'm not an educated man, not highly, and I'm not a super smart man, but I'm not a super dumb man either, and I ask questions. And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense to me.
Comparable data. While the information collected by the New Horizons gave rise to further hot speculation, other astronomers urged caution and patience.
And then I know a liar when I hear one. Somebody's not going to tell me, well, something I know is, but I don't know, or I don't know what this thing is. But what I do know, you can't tell me that and then have me believing in shit that you're talking about.
Although the existence of the corresponding ultraviolet light is an indication not to be overlooked of the theory of the visible limit of our solar system.
He just said of the theory, some bullshit thought process, some idea that somebody had.
Although the existence of the corresponding ultraviolet light is an indication not to be overlooked of the theory of the visible limit of our solar.
So he's saying some bullshit thought process that somebody made up lends credence to this other bullshit theory that somebody made up. You see what I'm talking about? The theory, because that's what the theory is, some made up shit that somebody pulled out their ass. So the theory of ultraviolet light lends credence to this theory of this heliopause.
Solar system. The data collected so far do not yet provide definitive proof. Has Voyager 2 discovered the border?
Because you never realized.
I wish we knew that this is gonna be commercial. I don't know what to do about the commercials. Should we show them? It's not gonna skip.
Realize you're out until you're out. Fresh groceries and more. Unlimited free delivery. Walmart Plus.
If you shop on Amazon, you should use this tool.
Yeah,
it's a browser extension.
Let's shut them up. Let's shut them up, and then we can skip it, and then we can put it back.
Our solar system? In fact, Voyager 2, which has been exploring space for more than 40 years, succeeded about 2 years ago in reaching the area that could represent the ominous edge of our solar system in detail.
Now listen, they're saying could. It could reach the place that we could be the edge of a... So it's all pulling shit out of their ass. It's hypothetical dreaming. It's all DreamWorks, and they're fucking putting it out there as if it's true, because you're listening to this stuff and you're so just amazed and in wonder and in awe. You're not really considering that they're saying that all of this is made up. Remember, this is all bullshit now. Because every time they say could and maybe, they're saying this is all bullshit.
The data that the time-honored space probes sent to Earth showed how breathtaking the border of our planetary system really is. According to the data, the area in
look at that. Listen to what he said.
Planetary system really is in reaching the area that could represent the ominous edge of our solar system in detail. The data that the time-honored space probes sent to Earth showed how breathtaking the border of our planetary system really is.
Didn't he just say could be? Didn't he say that it's hypothetical? Didn't he say, but now he's saying the data came back and it's definitely beautiful. They're not saying that it's still a theory, or no, he started off saying that it was a hypothetical. That means to me that they still don't know. He didn't say that it was once thought of hypothetical. He said it's a hypothetical. That's the double talking. And if you're double talking and you're fucking turning back words back upon itself, you're lying. But they're professionals.
According to the data, the area in question is said to be an area that resembles a galactic heat inferno. Thus, the region contains huge masses of scorching hot plasma. The temperatures recorded by Voyager 2 during its flight were more than 49,000 degrees Celsius.
And they knew to prepare for all of this when they sent it out there. They knew that it was going to be sending it out into space far away from the sun. They knew to protect this thing from extreme heat as well as cold, because I understand that it's supposed to be extremely cold out in space. So, and they did this in the 70s. Oh, remember, once it gets past Pluto, there's going to be some hot shit out there. Really? You think that they did that? I don't know, Davy. For all of you people who grew up watching Davy and Goliath, a religious show that used to come on Sundays.
Fortunately, the spacecraft's heat shields were strong enough to protect it from the devastating effect.
I'm going to have to get that. I'm going to have to get that clip where the dog goes, I don't know, Davey. Now, and then I can press that shit and do that instead of me. I can do that shit. I don't know, Davey.
Of these temperatures. The corresponding plasma is said to have reached the affected region via solar winds. However, Voyager 2's stay in the fascinating area also caused a major technical complication. For example,
and that shit just fixed itself?
NASA reported that the space probe, which is currently located almost 18 billion kilometers away from our blue home planet, was trapped in the wall of red-hot plasma.
It's trapped in a wall of red-hot plasma, and it just said, they made us strong back in that days. They made us powerful strong back in the days, son.
Nevertheless, the unmanned spacecraft is still able to collect useful data and then transmit it to Earth.
Come on, you really believe that? You really believe that? Listen to this shit.
Does the universe really have an end? So while it's quite probable that our solar system has a visible edge, the question quickly arises whether this pattern can also be applied to the universe in general. In the past, science came to the conclusion that the universe...
Now they're trying to consider whether the universe, multiple galaxies is out here. They can't even figure out whether our solar system has an edge, and they're trying to contemplate the universe's edge, even though they can't see it. This is the arrogance of mankind. We don't know shit, but we think we do. We claim to. And they do it to fool you. They know that you don't know shit. They know that whatever they say, you have to believe or you have to discount. But there's no way for you to say you're full of shit because I know better. I happen to know for a fact that you talking out your ass, man, because the edge of the universe looks like this. I've been there. Fuck you.
Is expanding.
Ray told me. Ray told me, bro, son. Ray told me that this was like that, son. It wasn't like that, man. You full of shit.
More and more. But into which space is the universe expanding? In order to find an answer to this question, experts use various approaches.
Really? In order to find an answer for this, experts of finding the edge of universes have been getting together and they have found several solutions. And you don't think that they're talking out their ass? Come on. If you listen to, if you ever listen to your boy Zach, come on. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. That's right. That's what FOH means. If you watch my last show, I had in the thumbnail. I got to put it. I got to put that because I got to keep using it. Fuck out of here. FOH. Foe to that shit. Foe. Fuck out of here.
If the universe really does have a clearly defined border, one could ask oneself whether there...
But no, you just said that you knew. He just said that they had answers to that shit. He just said that. Right here.
In order to find an answer to this question, experts use various approaches.
See? In order to find answers, experts use various approaches, meaning they know how to find the answer to that because they found these various approaches. But then they saying maybe in the next time.
Whether there is a point somewhere in space from which one can look at the edge really does have a clearly defined border, One could ask oneself whether there is a point somewhere in space from which one can.
Hold on, man. What you doing? You fucking with my whole mosquito,
George,
man.
bring refuge!
You gotta find a way to cut this out. We'll come back once this is finished. Okay. Sorry, we don't want to be sending no advertisements because we don't want to be getting struck and all of that. So we're gonna go back to it. Let's share the sound. Right back to it. I skipped it, so we get right back into it. Oh, wrong one. Oh, dope. That's schools. Here it is.
Behind the closed universe. To make this picture a bit more tangible, it's a good idea to imagine the universe as a compact building. Whether there is a point somewhere in space from which one can look at the area behind the closed universe. To make this picture a bit more tangible, it's a good idea to imagine the universe.
So now we have to imagine shit. We have to imagine what the scientists are imagining in order for us to understand the made up bullshit they're about to hit us with. Aight?
As a compact building. Is there a window or balcony within the confined house from which you can look out over the surrounding area? In all probability, this is not the case. The balloon.
In all probability, this is not the case. So then what you talking about it for? Why are you talking about it for if you're going to say, we're going to imagine something that can't possibly happen? So what's the point? He got it. He sucked at us. That whole fucking... There's a point out there. There's a solution to find the edge of the universe. We should imagine that there's this house that we can look behind in order to... But that's impossible, so forget it. They wasted time and they making up shit. They wasting time and they making up shit, man.
Balloon analogy. This is justified by the so-called cosmological principle.
Hold on.
Put simply, the balloon analogy or balcony within the confined house.
I apologize, but that's how it has to be done.
From which you can look out over the surrounding area? In all probability, this is not the case. The balloon analogy. This is justified by the so-called cosmological principle. Put simply, this means that the matter distributed in the universe always looks the same to the observer, regardless of the point of view from which he looks at it.
What? What? That makes no fucking sense. From no matter what view you're looking at, it always looks the same. How is that possible? They have to be pulling shit out their ass. If there's rogue planets flying around and stars exploding and new ones coming into being and new nebula coming into being that produce, which are factories that produce the stars and all types of things, and it's always expanding. How could it always look the same? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely a lie. That's bullshit.
Within the scientific community, this phenomenon is also known as isotropy. Most experts agree that our universe has an isotropic.
I'm sorry, I don't have a clue to what that is.
Tropic structure. The cosmological principle is based on the assumption.
Look at it. This is how they figure out everything that they see out in space. Mathematical problems. This is what I'm talking about. How can you tell me you can make up a mathematical equation of any kind and plug in numbers that equal to shit out in space that you've never experienced in any kind of way, and then tell me that this facts that they're making up, that this shit here is actually equal to real life in outer space? How do you plug in time to an equation if it does only exist on Earth? I'm glad I showed that shit earlier. How is that possible? If time only exists on Earth, how do you then take that equation and say, use it in this shit, and say space-time, that's throughout the universe. Space-time is such and such. And they use space-time to figure out all of this shit. So you telling me that they're telling y'all the truth? What they know for a fact is that you don't understand none of this shit. And so they can say whatever the fuck they want. Remember that.
That the laws of physics are the same throughout the universe.
The laws of physics, how do they know that? How do they know that in some corner of, in some nebula, the laws of physics just cease to exist? That during creation, that the laws of physics cannot possibly exist. You telling me the laws of physics existed during the Big Bang, the so-called Big Bang theory, when the universe was coming into existence? When there was no such thing as helium? That's what I'm talking about. They're talking about shit that they can't possibly understand or know about. But they're stating it as if it's a fact because they're pushing you all of this shit. They're pushing all of this shit that they know you don't know nothing about in your face. And you go, duh, what? Then you going, duh, and and basically, you don't know what to say, so just take their word for it. Well, they got the big brain. I had a friend that I was telling him I don't believe this shit. And he said, well, they got the big brain. They know all that shit. They don't know shit. Ain't none of them been to space. Ain't none of them experienced no HELIOPAUSE. They don't know what kind of information they get back from those machines. If they're getting information back from those machines, how do we know that them shit is just what they're claiming is just not made up bullshit? All of this shit, and those two Voyagers are burnt up. Burnt up in that overwhelming heat that they were talking about. Or just crashed into one of those meetings. Remember, in order to get where they claim that these ships or vessels got to, that means it had to pass through two asteroid belts and an Oort cloud filled with all types of rocks and debris and things clashing with each other. They talk about, this is what I talk about. How one thing doesn't make sense. When they're talking about one thing, like they're talking about the HELIOPAUSE, they're not talking about the Oort cloud. In the Oort cloud, they say that some of the asteroids and comets and meteorites that come at us all the time and collide and hit or have the possibility of hitting Earth come from out there. And they're always crashing and bumping into each other, and that's why they're heading in out towards coming bumping in towards us. And you telling me that these two ships just dance their way through all of this fucking celestial debris without no damage for 50 fucking years. And it's still sending them back shit. Okay. Aight. You want to believe that shit? What's likely? Occam's razor. What's likely? What's likely? That this is all bullshit, and they're pulling shit out of their ass so that they can keep making money off of us. Because who's paying them? Universities put these people to work, so your money goes to paying these people's salaries. We give them millions of dollars when they come up with new papers and theories, and they get awarded. They get awarded doctorates and all kinds of and cash prizes come with it. And y'all think that there's not reasons for them to just make up shit every once in a while? All the time? Every one of them so-called doctors have a theory that they made up. Something that they sent into the scientific so that they could get doctorates and all of this shit. And you don't think that they lying? That they're not pulling shit out their ass? Some people got a video game theory to where people, every time you turn around, turn your back to something, it disappears. It doesn't exist, just like in a video game. To save input, to save RAM space. Yeah. Actual doctors and scientists who believe in this shit, or who at least come up with a theory that pertains to that, and wrote out shit just like this in order to say I proved it. Look, my formulas equal out on both sides. See here? You see this way I'm my reticle is moving around my pointer? See this thing? That's an equal sign. That means when this side equals out to all of this shit on this side, that means that they've proven something. That the possibility exists. And this is why they do that. They write these shits out and write these shits out and plug it and turn it and twist it around. Smack it up, flip it, and rub it down. They sexually molest it. And then they say, hey, we came up with an idea because we have these formulas that say this possibility exists. And then they hand it to you as facts.
If one follows these explanations, the existence of a clearly defined edge of the universe can be excluded. But then how can we imagine the physical structure of our universe? In order to explain this topic in a more understandable way, astronomers often use a terrestrial comparison.
Look at all of the millions and billions of dollars that's being spent on imagination. Somebody's imaginary shit.
Let's imagine a balloon with a small insect sitting on its surface. The little animal can now run for an infinite amount of time in any direction imaginable without ever reaching a clearly defined end of the balloon.
That's bullshit. What about the part with the string? You mean if you never come to the part with the string? Or that little nipple, right? If it's a blown up ball, that's different. But a balloon? I'm just being an asshole.
Nevertheless, it seems to the insect that its environment is practically unlimited. Although the surface of a balloon is by no means an infinitely large object, it has no visible edges or center for the small animal. Many researchers argue that this balloon analogy can be applied to.
How come people say that they're not animals, but an insect is considered an animal? You see, that's what this dude is doing. But people now turn around and say, I'm not an animal. I'm not an animal. Yes, you are. You haven't done anything. You haven't done anything to make you any different than just because you could talk and enslave yourself to money and gold and diamonds.
To the nature of our universe. In which space does the universe expand? But how is it possible that our universe is expanding?
Did he ever answer the question about seeing the edge of the... He's talking about it expanding, but he never answered the question, and he never figured out, he never gave us those examples that astrophysicists use to determine the edge of the universe. He just said, it's imaginary and we can't figure it out because it doesn't exist and we don't know about it. And this is a whole grab ass move. This is don't reach back here. Just bend over and let me do the work. just don't reach back.
Expanding at a rapid speed.
Don't pay attention to that slippery stuff between your cheeks.
Even though it has no defined boundaries.
Because nobody wants to carry.
You son of a bitch.
home 20 pounds of watermelon. Fresh groceries and more. Free same-day delivery. Walmart Plus.
If you wear glasses or contacts, you must see this. An award-winning doctor reveals a...
Shut up.
In order to get to the bottom of this question, we must first say goodbye to our earthly understanding of dimensions. When something grows on our Earth,
Oh, now they're making up other dimensions for us to consider. Now we have to say that other dimensions are real too in order to understand the end of the universe. Because they have a full grasp of that too. Wow.
it expands into a three-dimensional space, or in other words, outwards. By definition, however, the universe is the galactic structure.
Hold on, is space three-dimensional? Really? Does it have an up, a down, a depth, a width? Does it? Does it have a... is the universe one of those things? Huh? Is it? It has three dimensions, a height, a width, and a depth. Come on.
That already contains everything that exists.
And we understand that? Do we? Really? Or are we full of shit? What we're doing is drinking the Kool-Aid, people. We are drinking the Kool-Aid. If you believe anything that you're seeing every time I play this video, look for yourself. Go watch them shits and then keep in mind what they're saying to you when they're talking. And tell me that you're not hearing a whole load of dog shit.
There is no outside. In fact,
these are snake oil salesmen. We've had them around for years and years and years.
The universe does not expand into a surrounding space, but the space itself becomes larger and larger. We define the area of the universe.
How do they know this? How do they know what the universe is expanding into? How do they know that the universe is expanding at all? Just because they seeing stuff moving, say they are seeing stuff moving. How do they know that it's expanding? How do they know that it's just not in motion? And they can't say because we don't have any overall, just like that bug on the balloon don't have any concept of whether that balloon is an ever never-ending surface or not. We can't possibly understand what the universe's surface or surfaces or depth or end or the comprehension is impossible. So for people to be talking about it in this manner is utterly ridiculous.
That we can see from our point of view as the observable universe.
That means now the observable universe means light travel supposedly, which is another argument. Light travels at a certain speed, and if you travel at that speed, the light would actually stretch out, right? To where that's all you saw was one long beam of light. And it takes a certain amount of so-called time for light to travel from one point to another point. And if you go far out enough, light from those stars at that point has not reached us yet. So we can't see it. We can't see that light because it hasn't reached us yet. So it's possible that at a certain point, there's a whole lot of stars that are just see all this black out there? It could be all lit up, but we have to go closer to it in order to see it. Or we have to wait for that light to reach us. So we just can't see it, but it could be all lit up in this black area back there. So we can't see it. So and that's what he's talking about when he says that about the known universe or whatever it was.
The universe that we can see from our point of view as the observable universe.
The observable universe, because we can only see the lit up parts of it, and the parts that the light hasn't gotten to us yet is the unseen or the unobservable universe, and we don't know how big that is, and we don't know what it consists of or what it's doing out there. So again, how could you now say that there's an end, or that it's three-dimensional, or it has this type of dimensionality, or whatever, or even talk about it at all?
This enables us to look 46 billion light years in every imaginable galactic direction. Everything outside this radius remains hidden from our earthly eyes.
Okay. Doesn't that kind of, he's talking about from Earth. So can we see the center of the universe from where we are? We should, right? If we can see the observable universe, or are we outside of that point? Is the center of the universe the place where, if it was a big bang, right, that means that there has to be a center point where the explosion actually happened, and then everything speeds out from that one point. And what's going on in that at that one point right now? Is it all black and empty because everything exploded out from that point and there's nothing left? Or it's been shot out from that location, and it's turning into empty dark space, or empty universe, or empty void at that point in the center? And shouldn't there be this huge black spot at that point at the center? There's all types of things, but what nobody's saying, right? Nobody's saying. There could be a white. There could be a white. There could be a white hole in the center of the huge giant white hole. They say black holes take in shit and white holes expel shit. There could be a giant white hole just constantly expelling shit, right? And then, can you say there'll ever be an end to the universe until there's a end to that white hole that's spewing shit out? You don't know. There's all types of things. That's what I'm saying, man. They don't know.
Since the universe is expanding more and more, and thus the distances between the
Which he doesn't know. He doesn't know because he can't see it. So he doesn't know if it's expanding or not. He's making a guess. And it's a guess that he has no real bearings on. Because if Andromeda is flying towards us, if everything is flying in every different direction, how do you know which direction shit is flying in? Well, there's something that they say that if light is if changing towards the blue spectrum, it's moving either I don't know. I don't remember which way it is. It's either moving towards us or if it's moving away. And if it's moving towards the red spectrum, it's moving the opposite direction from the other one. That's in the blue spectrum. So if it's moving towards us, it's either red, and if it's moving away from us, it's blue. Or vice versa. I don't remember which one it is, but there's the opposite. That's the dichotomy. That one is coming to something moving towards us is either red or blue, and it's the opposite moving away. So if that's the case, that's them saying that they could tell something's moving towards us because it's moving towards the shifting towards the red light spectrum, and it's moving away from us because it's going towards the blue light spectrum, and they could tell that. So does that mean that the universe is expanding, or that just shit is moving all over the place? How can they know? And if there's something moving towards us, how could they say that it's all moving, expanding outward? When if it's moving towards us, that means that it could be moving in any direction. Right? How do they know? Because if they're trying to say if it's moving away from us, it's heading into deeper outer space, more towards the edge of the universe. That's bullshit. Well, I guess any direction would be the edge of the universe, heading towards the edge of the universe, right? It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, man. You could blow your brains out. I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about trying to think about it, and your brains would explode and shoot out your ears because the pressure would build. And just trying to think of this, because it's all bull. These guys who come up with this stuff are professional bullshit artists.
The individual objects are also increasing. We will not be able to increase the radius of the observable universe in the future either.
What's that, a wormhole? Another theoretical thought process?
Contrary to all assumptions,
Concept somebody pulled out their ass?
the universe still has its own edge. We will probably never see it because of this progressive expansion.
No, you probably never see it because it doesn't exist, and because the universe doesn't move the way we think so, because we believe we are gods and we can conceive of something that only a god could have possibly. Because we don't understand anything. We don't understand the sun. We don't understand how the earth works. We don't understand what's at the center of the earth, but we talk about it. So this is what makes man man. We think we're smart, but we're not.
Is the universe infinite? Whether or not the universe is an infinite structure is still disputed among experts. Some researchers argue that the universe could practically wrap itself around itself in a higher dimension. This would mean that our universe is a three-dimensional space surrounded by a four-dimensional space.
What? What? He said some people theorize this bullshit and then say this would mean that we are a three-dimensional space wrapped up in a four-dimensional space. Which brings me to a movie that I want to review. I think I'm going to start doing some reviews on it. And if they don't shut down my live stream, if I could keep it to where I'm doing it like this and like popping it over and just showing you little clips, or while watching the movie, I think I could get away with that. Keep the volume down and just explain what's going on. Turn it up when I need to. Okay, let me put it back where I was.
Surrounded by a four-dimensional space. Should researchers one day succeed in finding 2 points on the opposite parts of the sky that are constructed in exactly the same way, this would support the thesis of a curved universe.
Wow.
The question of the spatial nature of our universe will occupy mankind's spatial nature of our universe.
They said something. Hold on.
The question of the spatial nature of our universe exactly the same way, this would support in finding 2 points on the opposite parts of the sky that are constructed in exactly the same space, surrounded by a four-dimensional space. Should researchers one day succeed in—
Listen to this shit and tell me this makes sense. Now, you're talking about a universe, something that really has no shape as far as we understand. And they can't say that if they say that the universe is three-dimensional wrapped up in a four-dimensional, that means they can't possibly understand any type of shape that it could possibly have. But then they're going to say that because of 2 points in the sky that are constructed in a similar fashion, that means that the universe is curved.
In finding 2 points on the opposite parts of the sky that are constructed in exactly the same way, this would support the thesis of a curved universe.
How? And they're just telling you this shit, and this would support it. And they're saying is that as a fact. If we could see 2 points in the sky that are constructed in exactly the same way, this would support the theory of a curved universe. What does one thing have to do with the other? What does 2 points in the sky got to do with a curved universe? That shit is astoundingly ridiculous in my mind. You can't even understand the universe, but you're saying that having 2 points that are constructed in the sky in a similar fashion, that's going to kind of prove that we have a curved universe. Really? Fuck out of here.
The question of the spatial nature of our universe will occupy mankind for many generations.
They're closing it down. This is the end of the video. So this is going to be the end of, I ran over about a half an hour and change. So this is going to be the end of, call it a wrap. We did our comic book thing. We talked about might. And, hey, somebody stayed with us practically the whole time. I don't know if you're the same person. Oh, somebody did. Oh, here we go. I didn't know you was here. We're going to go through what you said. Hey, what's going on? Country Boy Ray. Oh, this is my boy, Country Boy. Not you. I didn't even pay attention to the chat, man. So, yeah, I'm getting ready to come on. So don't worry about that. Yeah, just a moment of time. Yeah, where's the end? Where does it end? Okay. So, yeah, I'm about to get up out of here. And we're going to call it a wrap. And that's my boy. We be playing golf online sometimes. Relax my brain and just take it easy. Even though that's a very challenging game. PGA 2K21. Y'all want to play? Get at me. I'm Godling1. But you got to get in there and practice because it's a difficult game. All right. I'm out of here. We're going to shut this shit down. And we're going to say thanks for coming through. And please subscribe, like, comment, do all that YouTube thing. And we out of here, people. Remember, look for Might, the graphic novel.